Good afternoon, everybody. It's Joel Whitaker, the editor of Kane's Beverage News Daily. Delighted to have you with us today. And we have on the Zoom camera Josh Gillen, who is the CEO of the What If Media Group. I believe that's exactly the right name. And Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the group to start with? And then we want to talk about this really interesting study that you all put out that suggests that we may not yet be into the roaring 20s with the bacchanalia going on 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And in fact, COVID may have reset people's drinking patterns to a more conservative level. Of course, for the alcohol industry, they like to say that, we want people to drink less, but drink better, which means they can charge more for the same product, right? But this study is just full of interesting stuff. So over to you. Tell us all about you and your group and what this is all about.
You got it. Well, we'll start with it. My alcohol consumption did not decline, but so that'll be a good thing for the clients. I am CEO of What If Media Group. We are a significant digital marketing company. Currently, we generate about 500,000 users a day coming through our websites. We have sort of a big funnel, very variety of different sites. People sign up, they opt in, and they give us permission to market to them. And then we ask them survey questions. And a lot of the questions are geared towards our clients. So our clients may be interested in getting people to sign up for their newsletters, and they'll answer various survey questions in order to get the content at the end of the process. It's a very robust system. It's proprietary, and it's fascinating. We have a whole range of advertisers, and we did this study for the consumer products industry, as we think it can be very helpful, not only the information that we've gathered, but the access to the consumers themselves. Ultimately, it's a little bit self-serving. Ultimately, though, we believe we can be a tremendous asset to consumer products companies and the beverage industry specifically. So, we did this wide-ranging study. We've spoke with, I won't say spoke, we've had survey questions answered online by over close to 50,000 people. Now, traditionally, when surveys are done, they call people on the phone and then they get, maybe 1,000 respondents. So starting there, it's very significant, the power of this. It's a national survey, and so you've got a very broad-based audience. You also are reaching people that aren't at their home answering their phone, for a survey. You know that a lot of these phone surveys are sort of biased because it's a limited number of people, and it's people that have the time to answer the phone. So that's a sort of a very interesting starting off point. I like to say we're reaching, mass America. Our audience really reflects a true cross-section of the United States. So these survey results are interesting. Now, none of them are mind-blowing. Things are kind of interesting and exciting. And I can't really explain exactly why people are answering certain questions, but we do see, for example, that almost 2/3 of the people in the age range of 20 to 29, the Gen Z crowd, seem to be drinking less alcohol during the pandemic. One would conclude that that's because they haven't been going to bars, which is where this crowd usually would hang out at. So whether this will stick or not, I can't give that prediction, but I could say that it's at this point in time, this is the information that we're seeing.
Well, it sounds like you have a topic for another survey in about 6 months.
Exactly. Well, we're always doing, it's funny you say that, we're always doing different surveys, and I'll get into it in a little bit, but I like to do some specific product surveys too. But yeah, we're seeing, people are indicating they want to be more healthy. Again, maybe not necessarily pandemic related. It could be just a national trend that people are tuned into healthier, food and beverage products. Certainly the beverage industry is coming out with a variety of products. Many of them, low calorie or whatever they may be, more health oriented, if you will. But one thing that we found is in this Gen Z bucket, over 50% of the people don't watch ads on TV for alternative beverages. So that's a pretty powerful statement if you think about it. Now, for your audience, how are they reaching these people? Billboards, people aren't reading print. They're not seeing ads on TV. And this is where sort of the digital marketing world comes in, and our ability to find specific people, if it's a targeted audience. One of the big things we do is we build newsletters or we get newsletter subscribers for brands. So one of the conclusions that we found in this survey is that roughly a third of the people are signed up for brand email messaging. Pretty interesting, So if they're associated or they like a particular brand so much that they might get on their list, and what happens in that list? It's a great opportunity to provide promotions, education, announcing new products, discounts, coupons, etc. So that's what we specialize in: is getting consumers who are interested in a particular product or service to sign up for it, and we could do that in mass quantities.
Now, the power of the email newsletter, or the email message, if you will, is really interesting, because I had heard only a couple of years ago, it seems like, although the older you get, the closer only yesterday turns out to be. But I'd heard only yesterday that email was as passe as a print newspaper, that nobody was going to be receptive to marketing and all that sort of thing through there, and that where you really had to be was the latest trendy social media thing. But it sounds like that's not true, at least not for selling.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, look, put it this way: you go to your mailbox at the end of the driveway, and you're still getting direct mail pieces. That hasn't died either.
Right.
What's happened is we've gotten much better and much more efficient at sending the right message to the right person. So, for example, we're actually doing some postal stuff. We're finding people that are interested in a particular product, and we have clients that are saying, "I want to send them a postcard," and with that postcard, I want them to call us. So it'll say, "Hey, great news! You're interested in such and such a product or service, and they want to speak to you now. Well, they have a tremendous offer for you." And people they're signing up online, answering survey questions, providing their postal information. We're sending them a postcard, and they're dialing a phone, and they're calling in. That's a pretty intense cycle, and everything is being used, and it's real. So, whatever that story was a couple of years ago is just, I don't want to say nonsense, but it's real. But the beauty of it is it's efficient, it's targeted, and it's efficient. Only the participants are interested, and they're only participating when they're interested.
Yeah, and direct mail can be, or direct marketing can be, very efficient. The challenge back in the day, for me at least, was that we would send out 1,000 pieces of mail and get a very small response rate. So, we considered ourselves to be successful, believe it or not. Now we're doing very targeted, specific newsletters, but we consider ourselves to be successful if our response rate was 0.3%. And based on price and everything else, we could cover the cost of the mailing in the first year, and then if they would re-up, we could make money in the second, third, fourth year, and so on. So
it's fascinating you say that. Until how about this? We're getting 8% of the people to dial a phone number.
That is fascinating.
So it's a statement about how targeted the data is. The user is raising their hand saying, "I am interested in this, send me information about it." And you're absolutely right. It costs you money to print it, put the stamp on it, send it in the mail. So if you're not getting the adequate response rate, you're upside down.
Yeah. So 63% said of this young targeted group, which is where all advertisers think they ought to be. I will submit to you, there's a bunch of people older than that they also go after, but it depends upon what their industry is. But 63% of the people basically say that we're drinking less. But does that mean they're drinking alternative beverages? healthy beverages, or does it mean that they're just drinking less, period? Or what
Well,
did
it
you
was,
find?
so the question was less alcohol. So less alcohol during the pandemic. So hopefully they're drinking something, otherwise they're going to dehydrate. But I think it really was a function of just not being social. And you made an astute observation that I should do the survey again in another maybe 2 or 3 months and see, has there been a change? We can ask the same audience, and I could come back to you. Actually, probably a good plan. Are we going to see a change now that bars are opening back up in cities? We start to see a spike in, or a return, if you will, to normal for that age group. That's to be seen.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that age group, because a lot of those people are still in college. And I know some of the colleges, at least, are getting very aggressive about their students have to have the COVID shot. And my school, Indiana, has become absolutely a tail of the Hun. They've said that if they said you have perfect freedom. You can get the shot and come and be a student here, or you can go elsewhere. If you're a faculty or staff member, you can get the shot or find a job elsewhere. And that has to be good news. And they've been very honest. They say we want the students to have the typical college experience. What they've gone through in the past year and a half just really sucks, to use an academic term. So, I would suspect that you're right. I suspect you'll see a return to a larger usage. But it's interesting that you found that just during the pandemic to start with.
Yes, that had such an impact. It's really fascinating. One of the other things that we found in the study is people's allegiance to brands versus value. And we did a lot of really interesting questions here. And, overall, one of the most important factors is value. So, and value, sometimes it's easy if you got, 2 beers sitting next to each other and one's whatever, $1 and one's $1.50, the value decision is pretty easy. I don't know about you, but sometimes you buy a box of cereal and you look at how many grams of carbohydrate are in it, but they measure it per 2/3 of a cup or 1/3 of a cup or 1.5 cups, and you can never really compare them. So, this idea of brands being able to message their interested consumer base on a one-to-one basis, maybe they could explain to them that this product is actually a better value. Yeah, the price is higher, but you're getting, I don't know, more alcohol per unit, or it's actually, an ounce more than the average because the can is thinner. Or maybe they want to focus on the fact that the can is recyclable, or the bottle's recyclable, or it's made from recyclable aluminum. And that might be something that you can't really express so quickly when a consumer's looking. So those value propositions are often, expressed best in some kind of messaging. And I propose that one-to-one messaging through email marketing or otherwise is the best way to do that.
Well, certainly that would make a lot of sense. And, part of that would then be determining what the person is interested in, what message will strike with them. Some people want to be really cheap and, they want to squeeze the buffalo and the nickel until it screams in agony. Other people, they could care less about that, but they care tremendously about, your example, the environment.
Right.
And
or they're brand allegiant. They're going to drink Michelob, and that's the one they always, they're going to buy. Yeah. So interesting that we did another interesting survey, three surveys recently that, they're not beverage, but, I think your clients would find them fascinating. So we asked people, are you the head of household, and are you in charge of buying disinfectant wipes for your home? That was the first question we asked. So sort of pandemic related. And the answer is yes. Then we asked a follow-up question, do you prefer Lysol or Clorox wipes? We asked 45,000 people, and literally 80% had a preference, Lysol or Clorox. But then we asked the next question is, would you be willing to try another brand if you got a discount? 2/3 of the people said yes. We did it again. We did it for a toilet paper survey. Same thing. Are you the person in charge of buying toilet paper for your household? Of those people, we asked the question, which brand do you prefer? We listed them out. 80% had a preference. Of those people, 2/3 said they'd be willing to try a different brand if given the right discount, given a discount or a coupon. And then the third survey was fascinating. We did the fried chicken sandwiches. We asked people if they go to fast food more than twice a month, fast food restaurants more than 2 times a month. And of those people, we asked them which was their favorite fried chicken sandwich, and we listed them out. And literally 80% had a preference. And we asked the same group, and this was a whole different segment of people, 20,000 people. And literally 2/3 again said they'd be willing to try a different sandwich if given a discount or promotion coupon. So
that is really fascinating. It suggests that price makes a huge difference.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, people, they might go to try the different one and then go back to the other one. Then you have these price wars, but that's the whole thing. If you can be communicating to your consumer, that's what there's a lot of loyalty clubs that people created. So every time you go buy a Starbucks coffee, for example, you're getting a loyalty point or something. And after 10 cups, you get a free one or whatever it may be. So all these things are really this sort of one-to-one marketing. And, traditionally brands have relied on brand marketing on TV, et cetera. But we believe, the future is, one-to-one through digital marketing.
So how does a new product get into the marketplace with this? It seems to me that this rigs it very heavily in favor of the old established brand.
It's interesting you said we've done, I don't have any stats in front of me, but I remember when I think the Bud Light came out with the seltzer. Oh, right, it was during the Super Bowl or something. They announced a new product, and we surveyed our audience and asked them if they had heard of it, and it was just a small fraction of people had heard of it. So, you would ask them, would you be interested in finding out more about this new special product? And if they say yes, you'll get a percentage, but you were describing you only need a certain percentage to respond, right? So the percentage says yes, and you're able to get them the messaging and maybe get them a coupon to drive them into the local grocery store or to the liquor store or whatever it may be. That's a great way to do it.
Interesting.
I mean, how much do people spend for a Super Bowl ad? I mean, Budweiser, obviously, they know what they're doing, but there's a lot of small businesses that try to launch by taking out a Super Bowl ad. They get their brand out there, but that's talk about putting it all on number 7, or whatever it is. Right?
Yeah, that's very true. And the interesting thing about Budweiser is that historically they did not do that. Historically, I mean, that their whole game plan was to gain market dominance in one county, and then they would move to the next county. And they were very strategic back in the 1880s and 90s about doing that, which is how they got to be the king of beers.
It's amazing. It's fascinating. I mean, believe it or not, just a tangent for a second. When I was in law school, I did a research project. It's when microbrews started, and we found George Washington's beer recipe, and we figured out how to make it. And it wasn't going to taste very well, but we figured it out anyway. And we could not get any distribution because, that's a whole separate industry. You got to know how to get your product distributed. Forget about brand recognition. You have to get it out the door.
Interestingly enough, though, that's where the craft beer people have, and the small wineries and the small distilleries have really upended the playbook a little bit, because what they've done is they've started by focusing on locals. So they have tap rooms or wineries, and they have events and all this other sort of stuff, all of which gets people in. And then just like frankly, any restaurant group strategy is, as that starts, they then start trying to build out from there. So,
well, actually you left out the part where they come in and they sign up. When they come into the store, they give their name and they give an email address and they get on a mailing list. Mm-hmm. And then, hey, lo and behold, Microbrewery X, we're doing this very special, run of our classic beer or something. aged, whatever it may be. Would you like it shipped to you? And now they're shipping, right? So now all the vineyards and these breweries and special, they're shipping, at least the wines. I haven't really seen it with this. There's so many custom scotches and I'm not scotches, whiskeys.
That market is just starting to open. I was on a call yesterday, and I believe there's only 7 states in the country, 6 including plus Washington D.C., where spirits can do direct shipping into those states. But that is going to change because they are on a major push to get that parity, and I think they have. I think, frankly, they have, in my opinion, a very good case. So if beer and wine can do this, spirit should be able to do it too. We should be sort of
Yep,
content neutral, so to speak.
exactly, 100%.
Yeah. So I suspect you'll see that within 2 or 3 years. I think there's 8 or 9 states that are in the pipeline for legislation this year, twice that number next year. So, 7 this year, that would be 15, and then another 15, you're talking 30 states. Boom, you've got it.
Yep.
And Mississippi and Utah will probably be the last ones to move in that direction. But
it has an impact on the industry.
Yeah, and it will have an impact on the industry. So the people who do the marketing for those products, the large companies, are not being stupid. So they've gone out and bought a bunch of craft brewers, and where back in the day they were producing 1,000 barrels or 1,000 cases a year, now they're producing 1 million barrels a year or something like that. So they're not stupid, and they're out there doing it, which is good for the founders who need a exit plan. And
of course,
if you've got somebody with a lot of money, that's a great way to
look. It's the nature of business. I mean, they're making acquisitions that are synergistic to their business and creating more efficiencies, and in theory, everybody benefits. It's the nature of our economy.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this? You said you're a law school veteran. I am too. I discovered I love the practice of the study of law and absolutely despise with an intensity that I cannot put into words. And I have a pretty decent vocabulary. The practice of law. It is, I think we pay garbage collectors and lawyers both a lot of money because those are jobs nobody really wants to do in their right mind.
I went to law school in Washington, D.C., not far from where you are. And
which one?
To Georgetown.
Georgetown, okay.
And when I graduated, I came to New York, and I worked for a Wall Street firm doing mergers and acquisitions and securities work. And I did it for about 10 years. And really, I would make the comment that law school teaches you one thing, but you have to practice law for a while to really become a lawyer, if you will.
Right.
And as I went through my career, I always found myself gravitating closer to the business side of things. And ultimately, I made the jump, as some lawyers do, to be in-house counsel. And that was in 2000, where I joined a small internet marketing company. And they were just figuring everything out. And I sort of was in on the ground floor. They were publicly traded. So I was out talking to the street. I had to understand the business up and down, every aspect of it. We had to write our quarterly reports, and they had to speak to the financials and the operations. So I had to learn everything quickly. And I was working with a lot of really, really smart people. And we just developed a lot of interesting internet properties over the years. And eventually in 2005, I went on my own, and I started an online baby photo contest called the Great American Photo Contest. And built that up into a pretty successful business, and then leveraged that with another friend of mine's company. We built something in between, and that was called What If, and then we merged all 3 companies together and created What If Media Group, where we have a lot of really, really smart marketing executives here that they just get it. It takes a lot of creativity and analysis to be successful online, and we have a tremendous team here.
Great. So when you hire a marketing person for your company, what are you looking for?
It depends. So almost 150 employees right now. So obviously everybody's in different departments, but generally speaking, you know, people with great analytics can thrive here. So we're always looking for people with analytical minds and creative minds. So you described the direct mail program you did. Now, you know, you mailed one and it may have failed, and you went back and you looked at it and said, what could we do differently? Oh, geez, why don't we change this, that, and the other? So then you mail number 2 and, oh, we got a little bit of an increase. What are we going to change? Let's mail number 3. Oh, it went down. Okay. And that's a lot of what we do. It's because I was describing this velocity of consumers coming through our sites. For us to test something, I literally can throw it up on the site and have 10,000 respondents in 30 minutes. And then I say, well, that didn't work, or that worked great, or let's change this.
Yeah.
So we've accelerated, but it's the same discipline.
Right. I got the picture. So a couple of final questions. First of all, is there anything that we have not asked you about the study that you all did that you would like us to have asked you? And then secondly, I'm going to ask you, if people want to see this study, where do they go?
So the second question is, our website is whatifmediagroup.com, and it's hosted there there's a blog post there that you can find the study. It can be downloaded. There's a brief version and the long version, so you could get both. I think we covered it pretty well. I think, you know, you could dig into a lot of stats here. I think we touched on what I thought were some of the interesting ones, and I think that's what sparked your interest in the survey. So, you know, you could dig in more, but I think a lot of it is intuitive, and it sort of confirms what a lot of people may think. I think we touched on some of the things that were a little bit unusual.
Yeah.
But I would say, one takeaway from my perspective is that, I think beverage companies, and we've had some of them as our clients, can seriously benefit from this one-to-one marketing and building lists of users interested in their products and services. And that's something that we offer, and that's what instigated us reaching out to you and you reaching out to us and having our lovely conversation today.
Yep. Our cocktail hour at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so you can get to your Knicks game tonight.
Exactly.
Well, Josh, it's been absolutely great talking to you. I appreciate your time. And again, your company is the What If Media Group. So you didn't abbreviate that down to anything short. You made it long, so people have to type. But that was actually bad marketing.
Yeah, well, most of the time people aren't typing in anymore. They see it, it's a link, it's sent to somebody. So I've thought about that many times. But But people love the name, so whatever it's worth, it gets a lot of. We're always asking. One of our core values is asking what if, and that goes back to the creative point I was making before.
Very good. And I was going to say, I am not somebody who has any right to throw stones, because our website is bevnewsonline.com. So, I have no right to sit here and toss stones at you in any way, shape, or form.
We're lawyers.
Lawyers, yep. It's a curse of the trade, I guess. Well, thank you very much for your time. I wish you well. Please do that study and get back to us. Let us know how that comes out in a few months. I'm willing to bet you that the drinking in college towns is going to go back up.
I won't take that bet. I'm with you. I agree.
So thanks so much, and it's really great to see you. And I'll send you a link when I've got this processed.
I appreciate it, Joel. Good luck to you. Take care of everything. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, and good luck in your business, and good luck with the Knicks tonight. Bye now.
I appreciate it.